Aleister Crowley is considered the greatest occultist and magician of his time. His antics makes Ozzy Osbourne look like a profane lunatic. Crowley was a sexually unrestrained drug addict, syphilitic, sociopath, and spy. He drank his followers with cat's blood and conducted orgies of black magic under cocaine. There is definitely a lot to learn from someone like that. Mostly how not to live your life. My name is Nick. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There is a lot more to come. So let's go. Aleister Crowley was born on 20th of October in 1875 in Royal Lamington, Spain, United Kingdom, into a family of zealous Christians from the sect Plymouth River. When the boy was 11 years old, his father died of tongue cancer, leaving his son a large inheritance. With the death of his father, the future great occultist lost his faith, stopped obeying his mother, and began to prank. For this, his mother, who finally went crazy on religion, constantly called him Beast 666 in honor of the messenger of Satan. Later, he signed some of his work Beast 666, the world became one of his names. By the way, Aleister Crowley's real name was Edward Alexander Crowley. The name Aleister he took for himself during his studies in Cambridge. There, in Cambridge, Aleister became interested in alchemy and the occult and joined the mystical orders Golden Dawn and Order of the Temple of the East. Also during this period, Crowley began to actively experiment with various types of drugs. In these cycles, Crowley socialized with Conan Doyle, Bram Stoker, and the poet William Yeats, and of course offered them participation in orgies and other unconventional things. But while the other members of these orders were just cranks, Crowley turned out to be a truly hardcore lover of the occult. He proposed to improve the rituals of the order by introducing more sex into them with so-called taboo positions. He also suggested summoning demons just out of curiosity. In general, Crowley not only began to be despised, but also closed his access to further advancement in the hierarchy of the order. Crowley wasn't upset, and later, while enjoying their honeymoon in Cairo, apparently under the influence of substances, Crowley and his wife saw an angel named Eos. The one was supposedly a messenger of the god Horus, and he dedicated to Crowley the world's most important book, which would become cooler than the Bible. Thus were born the tenets of the famous teachings of Thelema. Calling himself a new prophet, in 1920, Aleister organized his own magical order, Silver Star, and personal abbey, having bought a half-abandoned estate in Sicily. In the Abbey of Thelema, Aleister Crowley and his followers indulged in black magic and organ. The main commandment of the sect sounded like a perfect slogan of a rock and roll star: do your own will, such is the whole law. In other words, everyone was free to do what they wanted. However, later it turned out that it is still necessary to do what Crowley wants. Everyone who used the word I had to cut himself with a knife to etch out his personality. Some of the adepts complained that they weren't particularly comfortable with the same sex that was honored there, even with a charismatic prophet like Crowley. It didn't end well. But before we continue, I want to remind you that recently I created a series of personalized scrapbook with an illustrated list of the events of a particular day, its holidays and famous birthdays. And I think it's the perfect birthday gift for a friend. Buy it for your loved ones. Yes, I made 365 of them. Check them out on the link. Okay, one of Crowley's followers died after drinking the blood of a sacrificed cat. The abbey was quickly dispersed, although Crowley even complained about the arbitrariness to dictator Benito Mussolini. The estate, by the way, can still be visited today. It stands empty and abandoned and still has a bad reputation. What happened didn't upset Crowley very much. He went traveling again. He traveled to Tunisia, North Africa, France, and Germany. During this period of time, he published several books: Magic in Theory and Practice, Equinox of the Gods, Magic Without Tear, Diary of an Addict, and others. It was during this time that he gained a reputation as a Satanist, sectarian, and black magician. The real fame came to Crowley after he created the Tarot card. The deck was called Tarot of Thoth, and is still popular among esoterics. The cards are filled with symbolism. During them he was helped by the Egyptologist artist Frieda Harris. Also, Aleister published a book of the same name, in which the mystic gives an explanation of each card. In 1930, Aleister Crowley staged a suicide in Portugal, and he did it not only for the sake of popularity, but also to get rid of the annoying mistress. 19 years old Henry Jagger was so infatuated with Crowley and annoying that he decided to get away from her like a demon. He asked local poet Fernando Pessoa for help, and together the Pauls drafted a note: "Can't live without you. That infernal throat that will consume me will not be as hot as yours." Aleister then fled the country, and Pessoa reported that Crowley had supposedly thrown himself down the throat of hell, thus the name of the rocky gorge on the Portuguese coast. It was not only Hanan who believed it, but the world community as well. 3 weeks after the demonetization, Crowley caused a sensation by coming to the posthumous exhibition of his own paintings in Birmingham. In addition to occult, drugs, and sex, Aleister Crowley had a passion for rock climbing. He climbed many peaks at different periods of his life. In 1902, he and the famous mountaineer Oscar Ascentain almost reached the summit of the second highest mountain in the world, K2. They managed to climb 6,700 meters for a total mountain height of 8,611 meters. Later, in 1905, almost his entire mountaineering team died while climbing the third highest peak, Conjunjunga. During that trek, Crowley quarreled with the other climbers, believing them to be reckless fools who were bound to be caught in an avalanche. The team split up, and Crowley's prediction came true almost instantly. He stayed in the tent and sipped his tea with pleasure to the cry of his dying comrades. What more interesting thing can be said about Aleister Crowley? Ah, yes, he was also a freelance informant of British intelligence. After all, who would suspect in a drug addict and a sorcerer scout with a secret mission? But Crowley even defiant approach with scope and artistry. During First World War, Crowley finally squandered all his money together. During the war itself, he left fire-ravaged Europe for the United States, and there, out of the blue, he supported Germany in the war. And I remind you that Crowley was an Englishman, and England was at war against Germany. But that didn't bother Crowley one bit. He declared himself Irish and even began writing articles for a German propaganda paper. But naturally, Crowley didn't not out of any special love of Germany, but because he was a double agent and a propagandist inside someone else's propaganda. His writings were so cartoonish that they were more likely to make readers laugh than to rush to support Germany. For example, he declared that Germany Emperor Wilhelm II was the new Jesus Christ, and that no propaganda would work if it was ridiculous. All in all, for Crowley, even espionage was entertainment rather than serious work. Esoteric researchers call Crowley the most famous occult magician of the 20th century, although he is an influential figure not only among occultists, but also in popular culture. Crowley's portraits can be found on the cover of the Beatles album. Led Zeppelin put his motto, "Do what you want," on the cover. Crowley was the prototype for many characters in British literature, such as the villain Le Chiffre in Ian Fleming's first James Bond novel. Somerset Maugham wrote the novel The Magician, and the main character, Oliver Haddo, is a prototype for Aleister Crowley. Crowley was promoting psychoactive substances long before the psychedelic revolutions of the 60s. 40 years later, renowned scientist and LSD proponent Timothy Leary would say he was simply continuing his work. A German follower of Crowley claimed that the mystic's work had a great deal of influence on the personality and life of Adolf Hitler. Admittedly, historians dispute this claim and consider it fiction. Scientology creator Ron Hubbard was a member of Crowley's religion in the beginning and later took it as a basis when he came up with his own. In the last years of his life, the popular mystic ran out of money. He had to move from one hotel to another, trying to make a living. Crowley died in 1947 at the age of 72 from chronic bronchitis. His funeral was attended by only 12 people. The ceremony was treated like a black mass, and his ashes were shipped from England to the United States. Thus ended the life of one of the most screwed men of the 20th century. He elevated the violation of moral norms to the rank of art, created a new religion, invented mystical explanations for his irrepressible desire to have sex, and fucked a lot of people at a time when public morality in principle didn't approve of sex as a phenomenon. In fact, Crowley spent his entire life on his own amusement, and yet he's ranked in the top 100 greatest readings of all time. If you're enjoying this and want more stories like this, write it in the comments below. Also, be sure to press a like button to this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your attention. Stay curious and stay informed. Bye bye!